Welcome to the College Basketball Pub Hub, Saturday, March 18th. Ian Cameron, Conor Mack, the tournament rolls on. Second round action today, round of 32 getting underway. We've got 8 NCAA tournament games to break down. But before we do that, don't sleep on the other minor postseason tournaments taking place today. We have NIT tournament and we have CBI tournament games taking place, and we're going to break those down. And that's where we'll start. We'll begin with the 2 NIT tournament second round games. Both of them are early afternoon games. We've got Michigan, Vanderbilt, Hofstra, Cincinnati. Vanderbilt 2-point favorites, 147.5 the total. Cincinnati 1.5-point favorites, 151 the total against Hofstra. I've made no secret about it that I'm riding Vanderbilt in this tournament. I think this is a tournament that they really truly care about. It's a young group trying to build momentum for the future. It's a team that played their best basketball down the stretch. It's a team that wire to wire controlled the game against Yale. I think they maybe took their foot off the gas pedal for a little bit there with the big lead, but still, Vanderbilt was in complete control of that game. I think they get the job done here. Michigan did beat Toledo, but Toledo doesn't guard anybody. Toledo doesn't play great defense. I like what I'm seeing from Vanderbilt at the defensive end of the basketball court. Michigan will get some resistance here in this game. I like Vandy, money line, get the win here in this game. And then the other game, Hofstra, Cincinnati, I'm on both the over and I'm actually on Hofstra because don't be fooled by the marquee. They've actually had to move this game to Hofstra's home court due to various circumstances. So, when I look at this game here, Hofstra, this is a Hofstra team that played very well in that crazy epic overtime game against Rutgers. They've got, I think, a guy in Estrada who is certainly capable, if this game's close, to be that big-time playmaker, shot maker late. I like the momentum they've got going right now, Hofstra. So, a plus 1.5, and especially now with this game turning into a home game for Hofstra, I kind of like Hofstra there in that game. It wouldn't shock me if they beat Cincinnati. Conor Mack, what do you think there of the 2 NIT games?
Yeah. Michigan turn it on. You talked about, in the second half, Toledo just, no defense. That game even easily got over. We talked about that. Maybe this one does here with Vandy, early game, but I still think it could get over. They played an under there versus Yale in their last one, just in control from the beginning. You talked about. I can't back Michigan. I thought they played some of their best basketball towards the end of the year, but they weren't very good on the road all year long. I'm with you here. This is just simple. It's Vandy or nothing. If you're gonna bet this one. The other side, I like Hofstra a little bit, getting the plus 1.5. Is that what it is still? I like Estrada. I think they can get it done there in that one.
I do. I like Hofstra home game now for them. Big opportunity here. Beat a reasonably good Cincinnati team. I think they are very capable to get that victory in that game. All right, let's go to the CBI tournament. These are all games in the same building, the Ocean Center, Daytona Beach, Florida. So these are all neutral court environments here. These games. We'll do the first 2 games: Upstate, Indiana State, North Alabama, Southern Utah. I mean, I like the over in the Indiana State game, although that's moved, and I totally understand why both teams are going to push the pace. Both teams are pretty good offensively, but we are talking 157 with that total. And that game, by the way, is 11 a.m. Eastern time, so it's a very early start. It actually starts in an hour from now. I do like the over a little bit. The only concern is the early start, but everything about the matchup, the 2 offenses, the pace you're going to see in the game screams over. Hopefully it still gets there. That's what I like in that one. North Alabama, Southern Utah. North Alabama sometimes is very capable as a dog, but I like that Southern Utah team, so I don't have a strong opinion. I do think Southern Utah is still the better team. They'll win, but I don't want to lay 9. North Alabama has been a decent dog. With that one, I'm staying off the total. I like the over, but come on, 162.5. That seems very, very high, and it's actually been bet under because it opened 164. What do you think here, Conor, with these first 2 games in the CBI?
I think Southern Utah is the way to go. North Alabama doesn't have a defense. This could still get over the total here. I think Southern Utah could score a 90, maybe in this game.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's 9. I think they win. It's just 9 now. I don't love it. And the other one here, the Upstate, Indiana State. I think Indiana State wins as well. Upstate, though, crazy dog, all bunch of road team. I don't know if it's that easy. I don't think I bet it, but all year long, Upstate kind of hung around. So that 11 could be too many there. I'd look that way.
All right, excellent. And the last two games in the CBI tournament: Southern Indiana, San Jose State, Western Carolina, Charlotte. I'm torn on I want to bet over with Southern Indiana, but San Jose, because that's the way they play. They definitely
I
push
don't
the
know.
pace.
Yeah.
But San Jose State's not always that kind of team. I mean, then they can be very, very plodding offensively at times. So it's kind of, I'm back. I want to bet the over with Southern Indiana. I don't know if I want to do it with San Jose State. That's where I stand pretty much on that game. Maybe you look at the points too with Southern Indiana. I like a team that can score the basketball, that can pretty efficiently getting this number of points. I mean, San Jose State actually was a pretty good point spread team down the stretch, but a lot of that was pick 'em, underdog. Now you're a big favorite. Let's see how Tim Miles' team goes in this game. So I'm kind of tempted by +9 there with Southern Utah. Western Carolina, Charlotte. I think that's the game of all the 4 games in the CBI. That's probably the game that stays under, because Charlotte is definitely an under team. They're not pushing pace. They're very good defense in the half court. And I definitely think they're better defensively than Western Carolina. They're probably a better team than Western Carolina. I think they win, but I'm not comfortable laying 6. That one I would lean under with, though. What do you think, Conor, those 2 CBI games?
Yeah, both these games. I think, you could look to the under. One thing, Charlotte is the better team. All year long, though, laying numbers with them. They're not that type of team. Very slow, plotting. So Charlotte wins, but I don't know about the 6 in that game, and I lean under. And I do think this is too high. Southern Indiana does want to get up and down. San Jose State at home. It's just tough in these tournaments, especially these ones. The CBI and IT, we see a little bit more over. They're a little bit loose, everything going here. But I'd still lean under, and I'd take the points. San Jose State's good, and yeah, this is at the Ocean Center. Sorry, the CBI here. But I take the points with Southern Indiana. I think that's too many here. Give me the 9. I'm on it.
All right, liking the 9 with I agree. I would definitely lean to that +9 as well with Southern Indiana. All right, that's the appetizer. Those are all the appetizers that get you warmed up. Now we're on to the main course. The entree, if you will, the NCAA tournament. The second round beginning today, and we've got a very good one to begin the day, noon Eastern time. Furman and San Diego State. It is San Diego State 5.5-point favorites, 137 the total in this game. Furman with the incredible, gutted out, the performance against Virginia to come back. That was not looking good for them. Keep in mind, Bothwell was in some significant foul trouble late in that game too, and he really didn't play a lot down the stretch. And it was Jalen Slauson who really took over for Furman. Incredible down the stretch. And that whole team, they started to make threes. Virginia went ice cold, and that was all she wrote, essentially, in that game. Let's see how Furman goes here. They've got a team that, in terms of 3-point percentage defense, man, pretty damn good from San Diego State. 15th in the country, 29.8% allowed from 3-point range. So they've been very good in that regard as far as their 3-point defense is concerned. Can they maintain that here against Furman? They beat College of Charleston 63-57. The point spread in doubt right to the last second. That controversial foul call giving San Diego State backers the point spread cover. 2 free throws. They were able to win that game. They held Charleston to 21%, 5 of 24 from 3-point range. That's a recipe to beat Furman right there. If that perimeter defense for the Aztecs is as good in this game, we'll have to wait and see on that. But we thought Virginia might be able to curtail them a little bit. They weren't able to. I'm kind of biased here because I really like this Furman group. I cashed a ticket with them against Virginia. I kind of feel like I want to ride them again here today, but I will admit that the matchup's going to be tougher. The matchup's going to be tougher simply because San Diego State's a better defensive team against the 3-ball compared to Virginia. Virginia will allow you to shoot the 3, and their percentage allowing the 3 is not as good as San Diego State. So we'll see how this one goes. I kind of want to bet Furman. I kind of lean Furman, but I'll be honest, I like Furman more against UVA than I like them here in this game. Conor, what do you think here? Good matchup to get things rolling. Furman, San Diego State.
It is. Let's touch the total here. I'm on the under. we saw some more overs yesterday morning compared to day one. But San Diego State, from early on in the year, they're back to an under team. These games are pretty ugly with it. I think they have 9 in a row to the under. There's some resistance, though. Obviously, there's tons of money here all over the under. This hasn't really moved, but it's a tournament game. It's early in the morning. The first half, the 63.5, I even think is a look in this one. Furman got hot late. You talked about it. 10 for 28. They ended up getting 35% from three. But Virginia can't shoot the three. They only hit 2. And on the flip side, in that other game, in that horrible bad beat with Charleston, they only shot 20%. San Diego, I think they think they're going to shoot better here today. That's the lone thing I'm worried about with the total. But I'm worried. Furman, can they bring it one more time? If it's low scoring, I think they hang around. And I wish it was more than 5.5, but that's why they set these lines that way.
Hey, it's sharp lines at this time of year. It's if they got a whole. It's never, and it's probably going to be close to the number when it's all said. And it's probably going to be a lot like Charleston, San Diego State. The point spread's going to come right down to the wire. What do you think here, Cab?
I kind of lean Furman with you. San Diego State, they're a dangerous team. But they don't put up a ton of points, which supports CMAX under there. And if you look at a lot of their wins, they keep it within 6 points. They're not, a lot of their wins are not necessarily blowout wins. And this Furman team, they should be confident coming into this right now. They're the better offensive team. I don't see any reason why they can't stay hot here. I'd lean Furman with the points, and I also like the under that CMAC just gave out.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's Furman or nothing for me, for sure, because I think this
Real
team
quick.
is very good, and they don't lose by margin very often. And San Diego State, you mentioned it, doesn't win by margin a whole lot of times. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Coin just said it. Yeah, 14-2 the under. But I just meant in the early games, first half overs were hitting.
Yeah.
They all were coming through there early, the first 3, 4, or 5 games.
Yeah, there's definitely truth to that. You're right. The first half overs, they were getting there earlier in the day. No question about that. But it was an underpalooza yesterday. Now, again, yes, it was 14-2 to the under, but don't go into today thinking it's going to be 6-2 or 7-1 to the under with the 8 games taking place. You've still got to do your individual handicap. If it makes sense from a matchup standpoint to bet the under, fine. But just don't blindly say, 14-2 under yesterday, bet every under today. No, you still got to do your individual game handicapping for sure. All right, next game, Duke and Tennessee. This is also in Orlando at the Amway Center. We've got Duke 2.5-point favorites now, up to 3.5-point favorites, 128.5 the total. I'm an anti-Tennessee guy. I fade Rick Barnes at tournament time, cashed a ticket with UL Lafayette plus 12 against Tennessee. And look, it wasn't looking good early in the second half. I thought, wow, Tennessee, pretty impressive. UL Lafayette can't do shit against this defense. And then Tennessee turned into Tennessee. Bad shot selection, offensive drought, turnovers galore, letting Louisiana right back into that game, and they had to survive and hang on for dear life. And their ball handling is a problem right now. Okay, without Zakai Ziegler, and the guard spot right now is a major problem for Tennessee. And it almost cost them an epic choke, an epic, collapse against Louisiana in their first round game. It may very well cost them today against a Duke team that, what can we say? I mean, they're just firing on all cylinders right now. It's just incredible to watch. And it's everybody. Roach is playing great. They've got some other their guards stepping up big time. They've got, obviously, Filipowski, who's down low, doing his thing. This is going to be a monster challenge for Tennessee. And the one thing about Tennessee is they're very good defensively, but the one thing is that big guy, Jordan, I think Smith was his name for Louisiana, he was a handful for them. And until he got in foul trouble, he was really causing Tennessee some problems in that game. So Filipowski, to me, is that guy that might be able to do similar damage here for Duke in this game. But Duke's red hot. I'm not a big Tennessee guy. I did bet Duke, and I figured I had to jump on it because I figured the line would move in Duke's direction. So I got minus 140 with Duke on the money line yesterday, right after the line opened. I still like Duke. I mean, but now you've probably got to lay the 3.5. The money line's all the way up to minus 170 or 80. So Unfortunately, we're at that point where, everybody likes Duke today. And it's true at the Razor. This does feel like everyone's on Duke, but this is not me following the public. This is not me. I don't care about the public or what they're doing. This is me that I'm anti-Tennessee. And I said, when Tennessee's playing a tournament game and I see Rick Barnes on the sideline, I'm betting against it. Simple. Because I've been doing this for years. They've never done anything big time in the NCAA tournament, this team, for years. And they were fortunate as shit, to survive there against Louisiana. They should have won that game handily. There's no reason that game should have been in the balance late, but Tennessee made stupid mistakes down the stretch, the kind that will get them bounced from the tournament today if they make them against Duke. Conor, what do you think here? Duke, Tennessee.
Yeah, they need the whole team to step up. Was there because it shows? They just don't. Their point guard gone. He's just big, 11 points, but whatever, 5.5 assists. It's just too big, I think, in the end. I know Duke. Everyone loves Duke, and we got a little buyback though. There's 3.5s almost everywhere. Just 45 minutes ago, there's 3s. There's still some 3.5s. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go against Duke, but I got to take the under. Tennessee, if they want to win this game, defense has to be there, and we all see how Duke's been playing lately. To me, it's under 129 or nothing in this game.
I would agree with that. This Duke team's a totally different defense than we saw. I remember that game on a Monday night during the season against Miami. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. Look at where this defense has come from then. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Totally different, Duke team at the defensive end of the court right now. There's no doubt. John Shire actually deserves credit because this has been a hell of a coaching job to turn them from what they were 2 months ago into now. Spectacular. What do you think here, Cab?
I'm with you, man. I bet Duke first half. I bet Duke full game. Here's the thing. There's two people out there, people who watch basketball and people who go against numbers. If you're going against numbers, I get it. You're probably playing against Duke here. If you watch basketball, you're not fucking going against Duke here. End of story. Duke is the better team than Tennessee, and we all know that. And I'm saying that even if Tennessee beats them by 20, I still stand by that comment. Coming into this game right now, Duke is the better, well-rounded team, and that's it. And it's a short line. So I took Duke first half. I took Duke full game. I got the 2.5 like you did. I had to pay minus 113 for it. And in the first half, I got a -1. So, yeah, but I like it. Like you said, without Ziegler, this Tennessee team kind of falls apart. Like C-Mac was saying, they have no guard play.
Yeah, I mean it's been a problem. So we'll have to wait and see. But if they can improve on that, they're going to have to because you can't have that kind of weakness in the backcourt to that extent and expect to survive in the NCAA tournament. When, as we're seeing, guard play means a lot, doesn't it, Purdue? Had to throw that in there. Yeah. Doesn't it, Purdue? That was despicable, them losing to Fairleigh Dickinson, by the way, yesterday. I mean,
talk about another coach. And Tennessee, though, hey, this is a big game. Can Barnes do something? And you're taking a team that's 1-8 or something like that. Its last 9 games in the tournament. It's just they've been horrible.
I'm so frustrated by that yesterday because I said Purdue is. My plan was okay. Purdue will get by Fairleigh Dickinson. Maybe it won't be pretty, but they'll certainly win that game. And then I was going to unload against Purdue here in the second round.
I think everybody was.
Fade them big time against Florida Atlantic or Memphis. But they didn't even give me that chance. They were so pathetic. They lost to Fairleigh Dickinson yesterday, so that frustrated me because I knew Purdue was the weakest of the 1 seeds and. Sure enough, that was horrendous. No, you talk about stage fright. You talk about not stepping up to the moment. My goodness, did anybody want to shoot the back? Steve Lapis, the commentator for CBS, was all over that yesterday. That nobody wanted to shoot the damn ball when it was close there in the final minute or two. Then everybody was scared shitless on that Purdue team. Horrible loss for them. Against Fairleigh Dickinson, and guard play was a big reason why. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along, Arkansas and Kansas, or as I often like to say when they play each other, Arkansas versus Kansas. We've got Kansas 4-point favorites here. We got the total at 143.5 across the board. So we've talked about, and I certainly wouldn't argue with the under in the first 2 games. This is the game I like the over with, though. I think we'll get some points in this game. As much as Arkansas was impressive defensively against Illinois, this is going to be a much taller challenge for them, Kansas, with Wilson and Dick and all the McCullough and all the weapons that they have that they can throw at Arkansas. So I think Kansas will score, but I think Arkansas will as well. I think the one thing about Kansas is you speed them up, you can turn them into some mistakes and get some easy baskets in transition the other way. I think Arkansas is capable of doing that. So this game, I like the over in. It's the first game I really truly like points to be scored, and I'm not going to worry about the 14-2 to the under yesterday from a matchup standpoint to me, and the number being where it is in the low 140s. I think you can get over the total. But I'm going to take Arkansas +4, +4.5. I cashed a ticket with them against Illinois. Musselman, to me, in this tournament is very, very capable of leading his team to the Sweet. He's done it more often than not, getting his team to the second weekend. I like that they played well down the stretch. That was a good performance, start to finish, in control against Illinois. Now, Kansas is a lot better team. Don't get me wrong, but I think this matchup's not a bad one for Arkansas. You're getting a 4.5 in this game. And Kansas didn't exactly play their best defensively against Howard. Like, Howard was just rolling up the points, especially early in that first game against the Kansas Jayhawks. But I'll take a chance here with Arkansas here, +4, +4.5. I think it's a very close game, very competitive. It'll be decided, I think, in the final minutes. And getting 4.5, that's all I need probably to cash the ticket. I certainly wouldn't rule out Arkansas winning, but I think worst case scenario for them, they're very competitive with this Kansas team. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I thought Arkansas would do well, which they did in the first game. This is out there. A lot of Kansas love. They're all fours, and even at bookmakers, some of these books, I'm seeing 3.5. So I guess 4 was kind of the number for the buyback here right now. I think it's a good game. I think if Arkansas goes cold, Kansas kind of wins comfortably. If not, shooting it, they're in this game. They can get, like you mentioned, Kansas turn the ball over, get them up and down. I think they hang around and it's tight. But, if they get cold, Kansas could win by 10. So, and all these games, don't have something on, this is live betting at the fullest, for me with these swings.
Yeah, that's the best thing about the tournament now is we're getting deeper into the tournament. The games are going to get a little tougher. You always have that option of betting live, watching the start of the game, and making a decision after that. Don't always have to make a pregame bet. It's 100%, and it's good advice, especially at NCAA tournament time. Cab, what do you like here in this one?
Anybody that's paid attention, I've bet Kansas a bunch this year. I've bet Arkansas first half a bunch this year. I like Arkansas in the first half in this game. I haven't bet it just because I don't know who Illinois was. I don't know who this Illinois team is that Arkansas beat. It gives me pause. Like
they weren't good.
Yeah, exactly. And then you look, Arkansas, they've only won 2 of their last 5 games dating back to the Tennessee loss where they lost 57-75 and just got smacked. I know Nick Smith Jr. being back is a huge deal for this Arkansas team. And I think this Arkansas team is physical, and I think they have the ability to, like, in my head, when I see this matchup, I agree with you, Ian. I see Arkansas matching up pretty well against this Kansas team. But for what Ian said about how they can just go, or what C-Mac said about how Arkansas just goes cold, this game freaks me out, and I don't know why. So I can't bet this one.
All right, there you go. So a pass for Connor Mack, or for Daby Cab, rather, although he does lean, of course, to Illinois here in the first half. All right, next game here on this Saturday slate. We've got next up Princeton and Missouri. How about this? I think a lot of us were expecting, obviously, Arizona and Missouri. Not the case. A stunner in the first round. Princeton getting the upset, 15 over a 2 seed. And now can they pull another upset and make it to the Sweet 16? Missouri 6.5-point favorites, 147 the total in this game. A huge move in the under. This total opened 151. It's down to 147 here in this game. I'm telling you what, if Princeton plays anything close to the defense they did against Arizona, they could win this basketball game against Missouri. Never mind the 6.5, 7. That's how well they defended. The only thing you're concerned about is when the big dog has that big win, do they crash back down to earth the next game? That might happen here. But I know one thing about Missouri is you get a team that plays defense and can get, right into them and contest shots and keep them out of transition and easy baskets and throttle the pace. All the things Princeton did against Arizona took them out of their pace. took them out of their transition baskets. That's the same kind of blueprint it's going to take to beat Missouri, because Missouri plays very similarly to Arizona stylistically. So I think there's a lot that makes sense here with Princeton, in my opinion. He's a great coach, that guy as well. Richardson here for Princeton did that's an incredible coaching job he did against Arizona. That team is very, very fluid, very, very disciplined at the defensive end of the court. I can't help, especially with the points being offered here, to look at Princeton +6.5, +7. I don't want to lay this with Missouri. I know Missouri got the job done against Utah State, but even down the stretch, they made that a little more interesting than it needed to be. I think in this game too, there's a concern about Missouri's. You're right. The rebounding is an issue here for this Missouri team, no question. And you know what? That Princeton coach knows a thing or two about pulling upsets when you look at it too, because he actually played for the late Pete Carrill back in 1996. Mitch Henderson, I'm talking about, who all of a sudden, he played for Carrill. They upset UCLA that year. It's one of the most famous. They play this clip every year at the NCAA tournament when they beat UCLA in '96 in the first round. Mitch Henderson played for Pete Carrill on that Princeton team. He was the point guard, and now he's coaching this team that just upset Arizona. So this is a team that he's a coach that's done it as a player, and now he's doing it as a coach, pulling upsets in the NCAA tournament. It's a team that's playing excellent defense. They just shut down an Arizona team that plays very similar to Missouri. I'm looking at Princeton here, plus the points. Connor, what do you think here? Princeton, Missouri.
Yeah, unless Missouri can just shoot crazy. And because their defense, why do you want to lay points? Why do you want to lay 7 points with a team that ranks 300, 10th in points allowed, and they're 290, all the way up there, 340? We talked about they are rebounding. Now, there's not a team I can back as a favorite like that. I think you go with Princeton or nothing. With the total, you mentioned how well it was defensive, and obviously Missouri played that under the early morning game with Utah State. If this keeps dropping, I might look at the over, because both these teams were over teams during the year. Like if this gets down to 145, because it just keeps crashing, it's down to 146 and a half. I might look to take the over.
So Connor may be looking to go against this big move here toward the under 151 down to 147 in this one. It's tough because Missouri wants this game to be a high possession game, and obviously Princeton wants to slow it down. So it's a great contrast here in this one. What do you think here, Cab? Princeton, Missouri.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to plug this. Last night, our guy Razor hit a 1,500 to 1 on the stream, on the live stream. He gave it out, cashed a fucking massive ticket on the horses. So shout out to our guy Razor out there in the chat, man.
Oh wow, way to go. He knows the ponies. We know that.
1,500 to 1. I ain't even heard of some shit like that. Like what? I didn't know you could do that.
I've seen him post 9 to 1, 10 to 1 horses, just single, straight, nothing pick 5 or anything like that. Just a 10 to 1. He'll post it on Twitter, and damn thing cashes. It's unbelievable. He knows his horses, that guy, Mr. Razor Sharp. Congrats, my friend. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. Man, I agree with you guys on this one. This Tigers offense, 9th in the nation, putting up 119 per 100 points per possession, per 100 possessions. God, I can't speak sometimes. But then you flip it on their defense. They're giving up 104.6 points per 100 possessions in return. That's 163rd. It's not something that I'm trying to lay 6.5 points with by any means. I don't know if Princeton is going to pull off another upset here. But like you said, I think Mitch, their coach, is going to have them. They're going to have them ready to play. They're going to keep it close. And Ian, what you said, I really like too. If Princeton was able to slow down the pace against Arizona, I think they should be able to do it against Missouri too. But that's going to be the key to this game, is them being able to slow down the pace like they did against Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get that out of my head. They play great defense. They're getting a good number. Missouri can sometimes lack discipline at times too with their shot selection, and that's really a problem if you're playing a team like Princeton, if they bring that defense like they did against Arizona. So, Tigers win. I love that, Jefferson. That's great. That's Tigers win. Yeah, exactly. That's the best way. Yeah, if I just say that, Tigers win, there's no way I can lose. There's no way I can get it wrong.
First 100% lock of the show. Tigers win.
Tigers win, exactly. Of course, that's because we've got the battle of the Tigers here. Princeton Tigers, Missouri Tigers. All right, next game on the slate here on this NCAA tournament round of 32 Saturday. as we continue along. It is Auburn taking on Houston. We've got Houston. Houston opened 7-point favorites. This number's crashed down to 5.5. I'm even seeing some fives now. 132 the total. This is all Marcus Sasser related. Clearly, this is someone that shouldn't. Let's be honest. This is they fucked up Houston majorly, big time against Northern Kentucky. Playing that guy, he never should have played. He clearly wasn't 100%. Re-aggravates his groin. Now who the hell knows? And everybody seems to think he's not playing here against Auburn because he's just going to be in so much pain, too much pain to be effective here in this game. And they're all obviously reacting to this major injury news. He is a huge loss. He's excellent offensively. He's one of the leaders of the team, and certainly that makes them vulnerable. We saw Houston. It was a grind. It was a struggle to get past Northern Kentucky in the first round. I think people see that as well, that was not an easy game for Houston. They had to push their way through that. Northern Kentucky had that game right within reach for the majority until finally Houston put it away late. Kelvin Sampson on the sideline imploring his team to show some fight, wanted as much as that's bad when you're hearing a coach say you got to want it as much as they do, because he thought his team was being outworked, outcompeted, out-hustled by Northern Kentucky in instances during that game. So I get the reasons why people like Auburn, but but at 5 now, that's the one thing that does concern me. And also I know this Auburn team can be so flighty, they really can be. So I understand at 7, 6.5 early, maybe like an Auburn here, but 5 now, I mean, you're still talking about the better, I think, sound, disciplined team. Auburn's still, I don't want to go overboard about giving Auburn their roses for beating Iowa. Iowa is horrible.
Auburn's doo-doo.
Tournament time. Yeah, they're horrible at tournament time, Iowa. We can't give Auburn too much credit there. They're soft. You can push them around. They don't play defense, Iowa, and we once again saw that again from Fran McCaffrey's group. So, yeah, Auburn played a great game there. But this is still going to be, even without Marcus Sasser, let's assume he doesn't play, this is still a huge step up in class. This is 3 steps up in class for Auburn, taking on this Houston team today. So I understand the sentiment. I totally get it. And I think Houston has shown vulnerabilities. They lost to Memphis without Sasser. They struggled against Northern Kentucky, all of that. I'm not laying the points with Houston. I will say that. But now that it's down to 5, I'm a little bit pumping the brakes on Auburn too as well in this game. This is one I honestly don't have a strong opinion. I want to see a pregame. I want to see how it starts. I think if you got Auburn early, good number. I don't think that's a bad bet. I think it may be difficult for Houston to win by a big margin, but now that it's down to 5, still got a great coach in Sampson who can adjust to, unique situations like this. You've still got a Houston team that, look, maybe you're buying low on Houston now. They didn't play well. They rallied the troops without Sasser. And they'll play a lot better, especially as they know the opponent's going to get a little bit tougher. So very fascinating game. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not totally on board. I lean with it, Auburn, but I'm not totally on board with all the line move down to 5 now on the Tigers. Here's another Tigers. 3 Tigers in action today. What do you think here, Connor Mack? Auburn, Houston.
Yeah. So like you said, Ian, the Iowa win is like that big to just run and be on Auburn. Someone mentioned in the chat, yeah,
Iowa's soft as Dairy Queen ice cream. I mean, we really can't be too excited about that win if I'm Auburn.
I look under here. So, it's not Sasser not being there. The scoring. That's one thing. He is the go-to guy. I mean, Walker, all these other guys are solid, and I think they can get by. But I get, this move. And it's in Birmingham. I think, the crowd will be there. That'll help them out. I think this game's close. For me, it'd be the points or nothing. I mean, that's just how to take it. Tough for Houston. Sucks that, this guy got hurt towards the end of the year. Yeah. But it is what it is.
I really think, we'll have to see, obviously. If let's say they survive, I think they're probably going to be in tough to, get past next weekend if they do manage to survive today. We don't even know if they'll manage to survive today, but let's say they do. And we're going to have to see if maybe a week will help Sasser out. But, yeah, definitely tournament or the championship hopes certainly have been shaken a little bit by this injury news.
They should score on Auburn, though. Yeah. Auburn's defense, we talked about how they weren't very good, and I thought they've been shitty, lately. And so, they should be able to score on them.
Yeah, even without, he's their best offensive player by far. But you got other guys that are going to have to step up, and you're right. Like I said, everything about Auburn's flighty. Their guard play is flighty. there's another team. Their guard play, it can be great some games. It can be terrible. It can be a nightmare other games, Auburn, with their guards. What's it going to be today is the question. What do you think here, Cab?
I'm on Houston first half here. My favorite time to bet Houston is when everybody jumps ship. And I get it with Sasser, but this, you touched on it. This is an Auburn team. That 83-75 win against Iowa, that's cool. It's what they needed. 75 points to Iowa, doesn't sound too bad because they're an explosive offense, but Auburn did not look tough in that game. And I want to say one thing. This Houston team is going to bring the fucking heat. With or without Sasser, this team's going to bring the heat on defense like Auburn's not fucking accustomed to. Auburn's not going to be used to what Houston comes out there and does today. I love it. I love only having to lay 2.5. I've faded Auburn for the majority of the season. I cashed on them last game, and it was great, but they're right back on my fade list here.
All right, there we go. Houston first half for Daby Cab. Get in and get out. Liking Houston early in this game. All right, next game on the slate, we got Penn State and Texas. This is a very intriguing matchup here between these two teams. We've got Texas 5.5 6-point favorites here. 138 being the total in this game. Man, I'm telling you what. How on earth? And that's the first thought I had when I looked at this game. How do I get in front of this train that is Penn State right now? And they're getting 5.5 6 points in this game. I mean, they're playing remarkable basketball. They're playing outstanding. They're getting incredible contribution. Obviously, Jalen Pickett's the guy for Penn State. No question about that. And Shrewsbury, by the way, has coached up this team beyond belief. I mean, that was a very good Texas A&M team that they not only beat, they destroyed. Pickett was great again. Andrew Funk has certainly down the stretch been one of the hottest three-point shooters in college basketball. He couldn't be stopped in that game against Texas A&M. It's hard to get in front of this momentum that Penn State has going right now. But Texas was very impressive, 81-61 against Colgate, beat Kansas 76-56 in the Big 12 tournament. They're on a roll right now where they've covered 6 straight. They've rallied around Rodney Terry, their coach, who's taken over, obviously, from when Chris Beard was dismissed midway through the season. So, this is just too much momentum that Penn State has to fade them getting points in this range, 5.5, 6. But obviously, this is going to be a tough matchup. Texas is playing well themselves. They've got, obviously, inside-outside game as well when you look at this team and what they can throw at you. They got a great performance from Marcus Carr. They've got 2 bigs inside that can do damage, Dylan Dessou and Timmy Allen. This is definitely going to be, a handful here for Penn State. The thing is, those 2 bigs, I think, could cause issues against Penn State. But the guy that was really good inside for them, Mahaffey, on the boards, he was a beast. He was all over the paint area. He's going to have to be good here today against those 2 guys, because Dessou and Allen are really good in the interior for the Longhorns. So very, very fascinating matchup. Great matchup. I think this is one of my favorite games I'm looking forward to because both teams are hotter than a pistol right now coming into this game. So something's got to give. But Penn State, with the momentum they have and the fact they're getting this kind of number, it's hard to lay points against Penn State right now. It really is for me. It's that simple. So I am going to be on the Nittany Lions here. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, it's just how long does the shooting last? But I do think the guard play again is what you want in the tournament. It can carry teams.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think you keep rolling. I want the points a little bit here, too, with Penn State. I think Texas is the better team. I worry the shots don't go down for them. They lose here. They struggled against certain teams. This one, I'm up in the air. So, that's it for me. I'm going to look at it more.
This one now, the over is appealing now that it's dropping this much. I'm seeing even 137.5 now showing up at Heritage. I mean, I understand at the beginning betting the under, but I think with the way Penn State's scoring right now, the way Texas, the last few games has put the ball in the hoop, 81-76 in their last 2 games. Now, look, I know they've gone under in 6 straight games, but the totals in those games were all in the mid to high 140s. Okay, this is now down to 137.5. Again, we were betting numbers. We're not betting trends. I get it. 6 straight unders for Texas, but all the totals were higher than 130s, much higher than 137.5. So I like the over now, honestly, now that it's dropped this low. Cab, what do you think here?
I'm not betting Texas simply because of how hot Penn State's been. You look at what they've done, 5-0 ATS their last 5 games, 9-0 ATS their last 9 games as an underdog. They've won 6 of their last 7 games against tournament teams and covered the spread in each of those games. So for all those reasons, I'm not betting against Penn State, but I'm also not taking the points with them. I think Texas is possibly the best well-rounded team. Okay. I'm not saying they have the best offense or the best defense or the best 3-point shooters, but as a team all around well-rounded, I think Texas might be the best well-rounded team in college basketball. And so for those 2 reasons, I'm not going against Texas or Penn State here.
I totally get that. Totally get that. Where you're coming. What do you mean? He looks spaced out. He always that's his facial expression. All the time we see Cap. He's okay. He's doing fine.
Oh, I'm always.
Someone's concerned you looked spaced out just a minute ago.
That means I was thinking.
Yeah, he's thinking. Yeah, these are games worth thinking about. As the deeper we get into the tournament, the decision making in the betting sphere gets tougher. There's no question. But yeah, there's some really good games today. Fascinated to see how they go. All right, we have 2 games left. We'll move on next to it is Northwestern and UCLA. We have the Bruins 7.5-point favorites, 126 the total in this game. All right, I thought that UCLA wasn't going to be the same team in terms of success without Jalen Clark, and I honestly think they're a better offensive team without Jalen Clark. I mean, I've been so impressed with them offensively here. And, they took Arizona down to the wire in the Pac-12 tournament without Jalen Clark. Their first game against, NC Asheville was an utter blowout. And Oregon, too, in the Pac-12 tournament without Jalen Clark. Asheville, 86-53. And their offense is humming right now. UCLA. This is another one with the total being this low. I'm kind of leaning over here at 126. It's a very low total. UCLA is still, a little weaker defensively, I think, without Clark, but you could argue that their offense has been as good, if not better, without him. Crazy as it is to say, then the stats bear it out. The shooting numbers bear it out. The ball movement bears it out. And what I think you notice with UCLA is Clark's absence has opened up opportunity for other players, especially offensively. You look at the last game. Look at Nwuba did for them. Look at what Mac Etienne did off the bench, giving them 10 points. David Singleton. Look at how that young freshman, Amari Bailey, continues to light it up for UCLA as well. So I think actually their offense is humming still, even without Clark. In fact, I think they've even looked better offensively without Jalen Clark. But I do think they have a little hit defensively without him. Obviously, he's one of the best defensive players in the conference, in the country, and certainly the best defensive player on the team. So I think at 126, you can make a case for an over in a very low total like this. The problem is you're not going to get pace, right? UCLA is going to play methodical. Northwestern definitely plays that way. But the Northwestern Boise game, that was a very methodical pace, very, very slow pace. Neither team shot phenomenal, although Northwestern did shoot the ball pretty well. Boise didn't. And that game still went over the total. Total was 128. It got into 132. So that's kind of what I think this game could do. I mean, it's only 126. It could just creep over the number. I think UCLA wins. I mean, I don't want to step in front of them again. I took Asheville, and right away I'm like saying, I'm in trouble here with Asheville, the way that game started. And UCLA was ready to go. And this is a total this is a total praise for me of Mick Cronin for what the job he's done here to get this team believing again, make adjustments, make good lineup decisions without Jalen Clark, and they have just kept playing a lot. And they probably should have beat Arizona, like I said, in that Pac-12 tournament final. And in all the games they played without Clark, they have been like we thought there'd be a drop off. There hasn't been, and they're still playing well. I don't want to step in front of them. I do have UCLA, by the way, in a money line parlay with Alabama in the next game we'll talk about. So that's it's minus 150 or so, that money line parlay. It's not a great price, but I'd rather take both UCLA and Alabama straight up rather than lay points with them. But I do think both of them win the basketball game, including UCLA. And at this total, I'm going to take a small shot on the over 126 here. Conor, what do you think here? Northwestern, UCLA.
Yeah, I think UCLA wins here. I don't think it was going to show up until the Elite Eight. I just think Clark in the end, his defense was too big. But they could still get there and get it done. And I think soon they need Bona. Well, I don't think it matters in this game either, but he needs to get in the lineup too. He's too just scrappy guy, kind of 8 points, 6, 7 boards that they need down low. And he's questionable. I don't think he plays, but I don't think they need him here. with Northwestern. It's just 7.5. This is something I might bet live. You mentioned the total. Will they go quicker now? I don't know. I'm not touching that either.
All right, the good stuff. So Connor, taking a pass here. What do you think here, Cab?
I'm going to say it since you put it out there. You said you think Bama and UCLA both win, but you don't know about the spreads. I toyed around with some things just because I like to look at numbers. If you put the first half money line together with both UCLA and Bama, it's plus 102. And I don't hate that at all. I know it sounds like a little bit different style of bet there, but I don't hate it. UCLA, this team, they've been great this season. They're 8-5 against quad 1 teams. They're 9-0 against quad 2 teams. In the non-conference schedule, they beat number 13 Kentucky. Well, then 13 Kentucky, right? They beat Maryland. They played Baylor close. They lost by 5 points to Baylor. They beat Illinois. This Bruin team puts up 115.3 points per 100 possessions. That's 21st in the nation, and they do it on a 50.7% shooting clip from inside the arc. And they only allow 87.2 in return, which is really fucking good. This is a UCLA team that I would only get behind UCLA here. I'm not going to lay the 7.5. It's just a few too many points for me, but I think UCLA wins this game.
There we go. So yeah, that's kind of. I think we're all in the same boat. We think UCLA is going to win. We're not rushing to lay 7.5, especially in a lower possession game. All right, final game for the round of 32 on Saturday. Maryland and Alabama. We've got the Crimson Tide now 9-point favorites here in this matchup. The total sitting at 143.5 across the board in this game. This is, like I said, I've got Alabama in a money line parlay with UCLA. I think they.
Oh, you do have that?
I do. Full game
Love
money
it.
line parlay though. Not, but the first half makes sense, and I know you're a first half guy, so I know for you that definitely makes sense. Daby Cab bets a lot of first half bets. I am on the full game money line parlay with Alabama. I don't want to make too much of what Maryland did. Maryland beat West Virginia. West Virginia to me is just they've got issues, right? I mean, they can go into offensive droughts. I don't think their guard plays consistent. I think they turn the ball over too much, and it's just a team that plays sloppy at times. West Virginia. Maryland took advantage, and you got to give Maryland credit for one thing. They got off to a horrible start against West Virginia, and they came back and they ended up winning that game. But this is going to be a whole different animal. Now, the one caveat, and this is why I'm not comfortable with Bama -9 and why I'm just going to go money line parlay, because Brandon Miller is a little hobbled right now. From all reports, is he's battling through injury right now for Alabama, and obviously he's very important for this team. Make no mistake about it. And you wonder if he's going to be at 100% today. But even if he isn't, this team has now gotten healthier down the stretch, of course, as I just meant. And it just looks odd to me that he, 0 for 5 and not a single point from Brandon Miller, which I think speaks volumes about him not being 100% in that win against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Now, they didn't need much from him because they're playing Corpus Christi, but they'll need a little more from him here today. But the good news is you've got Bediako, you've got Noah Clowney, you've got Mark Sears, you've got, of course, he missed some of the season early on, and now Javon Quinterly's healthy, and what a difference he makes to them, certainly offensively. That's that extra offensive weapon that now Alabama has that maybe they didn't have earlier in the season, no question. So I just think it's going to be too much here for Maryland. It wouldn't surprise me to see Alabama win by double digits here because I do lean to lay in the points, and I don't think much of Maryland, but again, with Miller a little bit hobbled coming into this game. And Maryland is, scrappy. They've shown you that. There's no question. I could see Maryland maybe staying inside the number, but Alabama winning in that 1 to 7 or 8 point range instead of covering the number. So that's why I'm playing it safer. Bama parlayed on the money line with UCLA. Connor, what do you think here? Maryland, Alabama.
Yeah, I get it. And why do you want to just, lay this number with Bama? Like, take it maybe in game or do something else with this. Just
Maryland's had some stinkers this year. The one caveat,
they have gotten blown
Maryland's
out a
had
few
some
times.
stinkers this year, and if it's another one of those tonight, they will get rolled. That there's no question about that.
I think it'll be okay. But yeah, they need Miller in the end. You talked about all those guys, then they're great, and that's why they're deep, Alabama, and they can get up and down. In the end, they're going to need him, even against Maryland, I think. Yeah, they win. That's it. I got nothing here.
Maybe they were playing coy. Maybe, and you never know. Nate Oates can be a character. That's for sure. Maybe
You
he's
think?
just maybe making it look like, oh, there's something going on with Brandon Miller because, hey, we're playing Corpus Christi. We don't really need Brandon Miller to, look at what they did against Corpus Christi. Blew them out and not a single point out of Brandon Miller. Maybe they're just playing possum for today. And now unleash the beast tonight against Maryland. Perhaps.
How about Bama too? I always find number one offensive glass, 302 defensive rebounding. It's like, what?
How can it be that much
strange?
What is it about offensive glass that makes you so good and defensive? I've never understood that. And they're not the only team where there's this wide gap between their offensive rebounding and defensive. Hell, Houston, the last couple seasons, they've been a much weaker defensive rebounding team compared to offensive rebounding. It's the weirdest thing that there's that much of a gap sometimes. All right, Cab, how about you here? Terps and the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys. I'll be quick. I'm not laying the points here. I do like Alabama on the money line. Maryland, what you said with that West Virginia game, if they fall behind Bama like they did West Virginia, they're not going to dig themselves out of that hole. If they get behind in this game, I feel like they're going to go down. I know Maryland by halftime had brought it back, but early in that game, they fell behind quick. And I'll throw this out there too. Often Auburn cuts the nets down in my bracket, so that's. If you're wondering how I feel about Auburn, that's how I feel about I said Auburn, Alabama. Jesus Christ.
I was like, whoa.
I was going to say, I thought you meant Alabama. Yeah,
I'm thinking about that Houston game still.
Yeah, exactly. Auburn, you got the right state.
Yeah, and it's at home here for Alabama. This is basically a home game for them, too.
You know what Bama needs? Yeah, just get to the rack. Don't shoot the threes. That's because they're so athletic. Don't mess around with that bullshit.
Yeah. Alabama's test to win the national championship, with all due respect to Maryland, I think it's probably going to begin next week. That's when you're going to start to see them. Yeah, that's when they're going to have to have everybody going at once. Again, I just worry too that the inside around the rim, they're just going to be too much for Maryland here as well. We'll see if that's indeed the case. All right, there we go. That's your Saturday college basketball slate on this edition of the Pub Hub Show. Nice to wrap up the show a little bit earlier. We got some downtime before the games start. So that'll be nice. And we will be back tomorrow, by the way, on Sunday, but we'll be on 1 hour later tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific for the Sunday Pub Hub Show tomorrow. We'll break down the Sunday round of 32 tomorrow, and we'll also go quick hitter rapid fire through the NIT and the CBI on Sunday's slate tomorrow as well. So join us again tomorrow for another edition of the College Basketball Pub Hub Show on Pub Sports Radio. There's so much going on the channel this weekend. UFC live stream later today. And I believe it's an earlier fight card as well. So make sure you get in early with that. And then Jose Bouquet is hosting a World Baseball Classic, a live stream later on today. So I definitely am looking forward. I'll actually be joining him for a little bit on that. He asked if I could join. I will, just for a little bit. So World Baseball Classic, a live stream here on the channel as well. Make sure you join for that as well. So lots going on. Check it all out at Pub Sports Radio. All right, we got best bets to wrap up the show coming right up after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and manscaped.com. Promo code PubSports. Get 20% off your purchase and free shipping using promo code PubSports. All right, best bets here for this Saturday in the NCAA Tournament. Second round of 32 action. Connor Mack, we'll start with you. What do you got for best bet?
Yeah, let's go quick with the early one. Furman, I'm already bet it. Furman, San Diego, under 137.5. And one more. Princeton, plus 6.5. I think they cover against Missouri. Take a money line as well.
There you
Got to
go.
put some on the money line.
Princeton as an underdog and a little sprinkle on the money line for Conor Mack with best bets. All right, Daby Cab, best bet. What do you got?
I'm going to do it to him here because everyone's against it on this one. I'm going to go with Houston, first half, -2.5. I like the Cougars to dominate this Auburn team and show them a little defense that they're not used to.
There you go. Contrarian special there. Everybody concerned about Sasser and Houston looking vulnerable against Northern Kentucky. Auburn looking great against, albeit a soft Iowa team, as I've pointed out. But a reality check today. And says
Northern
Daby
Kentucky
Cab.
play defense. They just can't score.
That's right. That's the issue, especially against a team like Houston. They can't score. So Houston first half for Daby Cab for a best bet. I'm going to give you two best bets today because I'm torn on which one. I'm with Conor on Princeton plus 6.5 against Missouri. That is going to be one of my best bets. The other is going to be Arkansas, +4 against Kansas. I really like Arkansas here to give Kansas a game. I think stylistically, there's things they can do that can put Kansas in a bit of a pretzel here in this game. Defensively, they got to show they can hold up against some of these flamethrowers for the Jayhawks. But +4 for Arkansas. Musselman at tournament time as a dog has been terrific in the past, and I think we'll go back to that well here. So Arkansas +4 and Princeton +6.5 here. Two best bets for yours truly here on this Saturday card. All right, that's a wrap for this Saturday edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. We appreciate it very much. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. Again, we're back tomorrow. Join us then on Sunday for another edition of the College Basketball Pub Up at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central. Join us then for Conor Mack, Daby Cab. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you again tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the College Basketball Pub Up Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.
Palooza 2 on the horizon. We're going to have live shows popping off in the Southtown 101. We're going to have a poker tournament, a par 3 golf tournament, UFC San Antonio on the Saturday night. A lot of excitement. Palooza 2!
Good shit, guys.